right now, former Congressman Todd Tiahrt from Kansas. And Congressman, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program tonight.
Well, it's great to be with you and your listeners tonight.
It's good talking to you again, and I have to tell you, I was pleased that I saw your name at Minnesota Public Radio the other day in a column about how the Tiahrt Amendment does not put law enforcement officers at risk. This came as a result of a story that Minnesota Public Radio had aired on their airwaves on the station there?
Well, I found it in print on their website, and it showed up on just a search of my name. And basically, they had some quotes from a former ATF agent who is currently a consultant that wants to use trace data as part of his method of consulting police departments. And the quote that he used that caught my attention said, "Tiahrt, in simple terms, nuts." So I thought I should respond to that and tell them, most people don't read the trace data amendment that I put in place. It's now in law today.
Yeah.
And when you do read it, you realize that it does two significant things, for sure, plus some other things. But the two most significant is, one, it protects those that protects us. By keeping this data behind closed doors until unless a crime's been committed, and then, of course, it's available to the prosecutors and court system and the police department. But it protects those from getting that are undercover officers and where the ATF operates straw dealerships to try to catch crooks. Mm-hmm. It keeps their identities safe. There's a website today called whosarat.com that exposes police informants. And I just didn't want to have any ATF agents or any undercover police officers, whether it's in my county or my state or my country, exposed on some website and placing them and their families in danger. The second thing it does, it protects the privacy of every firearms owner in America. And in that, the third thing I guess that I could say is, in that sense, it protects the Second Amendment. I think there are many trial lawyers and gun control groups that would like to get access to trace data so they could do class action lawsuits and try to run the firearms industry out of business in America.
Yeah.
Which, of course, would greatly restrict our Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, we talked a little bit about this Minnesota Public Radio story on the show here because this story came about apparently as a result of a grant from the Joyce Foundation, which has long been attacking the Tiahrt Amendment, as you well know. And interestingly enough, when they talked to Joe Vince, that retired ATF agent, he sits on the Firearms Committee of a group called the International Association of Chiefs of Police, which also gets a great deal of grant money from the Joyce Foundation. Now, Minnesota Public Radio didn't disclose the connection between the story that they were doing and the guys that they were talking to, which I have a problem with as a journalist. But you've seen this the anti-gun groups, Congressman, for years attack this amendment under the premise that somehow this hurts law enforcement, when the entire reason why this was passed was to protect law enforcement. How is it that the media keeps reporting this backwards?
Well, they seldom let truth get in the way of their ideals and political positions. And this is one case where that is a situation. President Obama, on his website during his presidential campaign, had as one of his goals to repeal the Tiahrt Amendment. And when he got in office, he had the Attorney General look at it, and after a review, they wanted some clarification language that I thought was redundant, but I agreed to it just to get them to move off of the subject.
Yeah.
But basically, it would just say that if there's a crime committed in a foreign country by an American gun, then they wanted to be able to use that trace data and give it to the law enforcement in that foreign country, which I don't have a problem with. And nowadays, we find out that the guns they're tracing in Mexico were actually allowed to walk across the border under a program called Fast and Furious that someone in the ATF thought would be a good idea to allow guns to go to cartels, Mexican drug cartels. And the sad part of this story is that an agent was actually gunned down by one of these guns that they let walk across the border.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a very courageous ATF agent named John Dodson who came forward and said, yes, I was told to let these walk. And it's sad because the agent that was killed, a border agent, was killed with this gun, and it may not have needed to. It probably could have got another gun somewhere. But it's a sad situation that our government would allow guns to go illegally across our border into Mexico for drug cartels.
Absolutely. Had you heard any rumors or anything like this when you were in Congress, Congressman?
No, this is something that I just discovered recently, and I wouldn't have known about it had John Dodson not come forward.
Yeah.
And had CBS not run a series of reports about Fast and Furious. And now, there's some investigations. Representative Issa is asking for some information, and also Senator Grassley has asked them to come forward with inquiries. It's a terrible idea to begin with. And then they blame people who support the Second Amendment for just this very thing. They blame the Tiahrt Amendment for guns going across the border illegally. It doesn't allow that. In fact, what we find out is that if one does go across illegally, the Tiahrt Amendment actually aids in taking the criminals to task. But it's our own ATF, under the direction of someone within their organization, making this a program, giving it a name, telling agents that they have to turn a blind eye to illegal guns going across the border. It's just nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Congressman, again, I'm so pleased you could come on the program this evening, sir, and help set the record straight about the Tiahrt Amendment.
Well, I'm glad to do it, and it's good talking with you and your listeners once again.
Good talking to you too, sir. Let's do it again soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Former Congressman Todd Tiahrt joining us here on Cam & Company.